Hello and welcome to episode 68 of our Timberborn Update 5 Waterbeaver playthrough here in cycle 90, day 23. Never mind, cycle 91, day 1. That's right, the trout's over, and we have, once again, a fresh new cycle to enjoy with both of our frames per second. Let's go ahead and hit pause, and come on over here. Start this episode by fixing something you guys kind of let me know about. This is not supposed to be open, and it was for basically all of last episode, so we're going to shut that because the water is supposed to be coming out this way so it can flow through the main part of our map. But yeah, let's just keep this on one-time speed for right now. Today's episode is going to be a whole lot more time-lapsing because I know how much everybody loves that, but it's the best and easiest way for us to make progress because everything, when you get to this part of the playthrough, is just an absolute ordeal. But we made some good progress last time. We started on this mega balloon area here, and we have space for a, I guess, a 10th one. But this terrain block is unfortunately lacking a little bit of dirt. But once that's taken care of, we will have a barrage of balloons available to do some trading for us, try to stabilize our imported foodstuffs so we can increase the well-being of the beavers, and all sorts of other fun stuff. So continuing to look at our little laundry list of items from the comments, yes, the many of you, and I mean many of you, who commented on the small aquifer pump thing, yes, we're going to set that for bad water because that's what it originally was, and I just completely forgot about it. So thank you to all those of you who let me know about that. That's taken care of. So, other small items of note before we go into time-lapse mode and I start trying to optimize things again. We deleted the glorious storage for the drill bits so we could reorganize all of our balloons. So we will need to build a couple more of those. And the way this is currently set up, I don't really have a ton of places to put a glorious storage for drill bits. So we're going to have to just kind of... yes, lag. Can just do something like this. We don't have any storage for the drill bits right now, so that's going to have to be good enough right there. And I know we had like 3 or 4 of them, but honestly, for right now, 2 is fine. We just need to have somewhere to put the drill bits, period, point blank, between when they're made right here, which thankfully is actually still making the drill bits. In theory, the scrap metal is currently not... over here as much as it should be, but the hauling bots will take care of that, and we're going to keep making more and more of them. We just have to make sure we can keep up with the nuclear fuel, the processors, and the robot parts, because everything just has to be everywhere all at once, and you know that just makes things hard. But this mechanical drill has drill bits, this mechanical drill has drill bits, and this mechanical drill has drill bits, so we're actually doing okay. Just have to be a little bit more on the ball here. So this balloon is waiting on sky exploration points, which, yes, that is a massive problem that we have to still keep dealing with. We do have this guy right here, if I'm not mistaken, getting, or supposed to be getting, some sky exploration points for us. So prioritizing this by haulers will most likely help. Methane's already good to go. We do have that storage right there. Paper, not so much. And that's one of those things we can kind of affect some change on. Pencil sets, it's looking good. Paper is supposed to be made in... I actually can't remember if it's this one yet. Oh, well, this one can. Screw press axles are full up, so for right now I'm going to go ahead and set this to be paper. Human relics, we are a little bit short supply of. So let's check our runes exploration. We have none. Okay. So we're consuming these things faster than we can make them, which is... a little bit unfortunate, but what can you do? This is waiting on glowing fluid, which, remember, there's a reason why we're doing all this, because everything is being bottlenecked by everything. You fix one thing, you cause 8 more problems, but at the end of the day, when you get everything taken care of, it's going to be absolutely glorious. But yes, the glowing fluid is a very, very common problem for a bunch of stuff. And we have the insect larvae, kind of. We have the frozen human meat, gross, kind of. And we have the bad water, kind of, but at least now we can continue making some progress here, and unfortunately this is the end of the day. I am going to, I know a couple of you really don't like when I raise the working hours, but we gotta make more stuff. Gotta make more stuff, man. So that's going to be hopefully an improvement there. And again, everything just has to get more efficiently hauled around. So you're going to see when we start doing time-lapse in a little bit, you're going to see a whole bunch of stuff, well, really, really quickly, probably, because what's likely going to happen is I'm going to have this game run for like 5 hours before we're actually going to be correctly finished with stuff. But we're not going to have all that done today. We're going to split that between this episode and the next episode as well. So why don't we go ahead, take a look at a couple more key areas that I do want to hit while we are in a thinking, talking mode about it. Like right here. This has not overflowed yet, so we actually have an opportunity to go ahead and blast a nice deep hole before things get too crazy. And I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to put these as triple dynamites. We're going to super prioritize this. And the reason I'm doing this spot right here is because it's going to allow this to be the same level on both sides, even though we've got these blockages here. If we blast this down, then they can come in from either side to take care of stuff. And by take care of stuff, I mean getting the ruins out of the way or the blockages or what have you. But we just have to get it done. And I know we have a lot of contaminated beavers, but again, that's the price you have to pay for greatness. So we're going to go ahead and get that in triple speed. Yeah, so the nuclear steam vent is just... I really don't understand why it doesn't work. Like, we rotated so many times. I am at some point going to just fix this in dev mode. Sorry, but that's pretty much going to be the only way we can actually make this work. And along with all the other stuff we're doing, I do eventually want to blast this channel to be further back, but there's just so much stuff that has to get done that I can't in good conscience prioritize this, because there's so much other stuff that has to get done. So, you know, it's going to get done when it's going to get done. And that's just the way it is. So, hopefully, yeah, okay. As soon as this is ready to go, and it looks like it is, we're going to go ahead and hit Destructo mode. And now, oh, okay, I lag. I miscalculated. But we do have, I think if I have my camera angle set correctly, we do actually have a little bit more of a gap here. So, you know, this does help. It's just that there's so much other stuff going on that it's going to get missed. So, we're going to lose that amount of beaver production as they get infected, but, you know, it is what it is. And, okay, here's where we're just going to go ahead and enter the time-lapse. So what's going to happen is, once again, a whole lot of just tiny fixes, trying to optimize paths, reducing building count of things that don't actively produce items that we need or produce them inefficiently. Early game buildings, if we can manage to have a replacement for them. There's still a few that we haven't done that with yet. And just making sure that we can fulfill supply chains a little bit at a time. Again, it's a very, very, very long process, and that's just the way it is. But every little bit counts, and that's pretty much all we can do. I will be coming back in a couple times during this time-lapse to give you a little bit of an idea what's going on. But as always, images may not match the sound, depending on how stuff gets synced up when I go in to do the speeding up in post. But hopefully we can get some really good stuff done. So by now you've seen a bunch of stuff get moved around, tinkered with. Another thing for the hauling bots, hopefully, if the timing lines up the way I'm thinking. But what you're going to start seeing now is the slow removal of the pumpkins from the downstairs, so to speak, because we have so many pumpkins. We're producing more pumpkins than we could ever hope to harvest. So that center area in the middle of the map is going to have the pumpkins removed. And instead, I think we're going to be able to leverage that area into growing some more crops with those tree nurseries. So we'll see what happens with all that. Obviously, we're continuing to remove scrap metal and various things around the map as we can, just doing what we can with what we got. That's what we always do. So yes, we did end up adding a couple more assembly lines to take care of some lotus processing and making the wooden toys automatically, which will free up, of course, some other jobs or other job opportunities elsewhere. And then hopefully you saw me remove the last of our primitive mines, because everything is now being gotten from a drill or one of the medium mines. And that reduced our job load by, for those three at least, 15. we can relocate those beavers to work in the assembly lines or other things as necessary. And we are also adding additional of the hauling bots. A couple more areas over in areas that aren't... A couple more standby areas in areas meaning locations of land that are not currently being utilized. So just little progress, bit by bit, just as much as we can do. What was that song from the original Lego Island game, Brick by Brick, or whatever? I think that was from the original Lego Island game. I don't think it would have been from the sequel. It was a very different game, but I don't know, I still liked it. A lot of fun. But that original Lego Island for, I guess it would have been like Windows 95. I think came out in like 96. Groundbreaking 3D technology. The funniest thing about that was I think the camera turn speed was tied to your processing power. So if you try to emulate it on a newer system without some sort of code that limits it, it's basically unplayable because it just goes... Oh, I just threw something across the room and it hit my mug. Well, that's not good. But you get the idea. Fun game. I don't know. I think there's videos on YouTube of people who tried to like decompile it and rewrite it in such a way where it's going to be playable on modern computers. What does that have to do with water beavers, you might ask? Absolutely nothing. I just thought it was a funny thing that came to mind because I thought of some song from... Oh god, was that 30 years ago? 28 years ago? I guess the game's that old. Might have been 97, but anyway. Regardless, we're doing what we can here, folks. Another thing we can do is clean up... Oh, there's that drought approaching warning. No idea where that's going to be in the video by this time. But another thing we can do is finally, I think for now, pause, because rebuilding them would take forever. But pause these squeezers, whatever these things are called, screw presses, because we have the assembly line that can do multi-juice processing and the hot nuclear press that can do what are those things called? Sunflower seeds? There you go. And I built another one of those that we're not currently using. So if we pause the screw presses, then that's going to be, at least in this exact area where all of our tree farms and stuff are, that's going to be 6 of those that don't have to house beavers anymore, which is going to lower our total capacity for beavers by 18 and free up a couple of beavers to go and do other jobs. So we're going to do that in addition to cleaning up random things that a lot of times during this time lapse you're going to see that menu on the left open up. And I'm just going to take a look at a whole bunch of different stuff. Try to thin down where we don't need to use stuff and then figure out how to deal with resource problems. You're going to notice the water ticking down slowly, and that's something we're going to have to address because water is being consumed in a lot of automated processes now. So we're going to have to put in at least 1 or 2 more of those large aquifer pumps. But we have plenty of power to do it with the nuclear plants running quite nicely. Just need to make sure we can supply it with fuel and to make sure that we're not running out of all of our other ingredients for other things. Now you'll also notice that we've added a couple more of those ruins exploration teams because we're just running through stuff too quickly to keep up. We have I guess I could say a plethora of beavers going down there to get nuclear waste, but they're running out of the exploration points and the human relics and all that stuff. So I did have to go in and add a couple of those supplementary teams. It's going to take some time for them to get back up to speed, but we're making the steps necessary to make sure that everything's going to work. I also added a couple of those large aquifer pumps that you saw, hopefully, and at some point, hopefully around the time that I'm saying this in the finished time-lapse, you're going to start seeing some stuff replace the pumpkins down in the middle area. Maybe reorganize stuff a little bit to try and maximize the ground space there, but obviously the stuff that we can grow down there primarily without doing any sort of blasting would be grapes, which we already have an absolutely ridiculous quantity of after we fixed the grape problem. But now the problem is we have too many grapes, so I haven't entirely decided. I mean, you're going to see it before I say it because that's how time-lapses work, but I may end up just kind of blasting this middle area out a little bit and planting some more bamboo. As crazy as that might sound, I think that could be the best use of our space, especially because most of our crops now are being grown in either the rice field up at the top or we've got all of those hydroponic farms and everything like that. Most of our foodstuffs are doing pretty well. Like right now as I record this, I'm looking at 50,000 food stored. Now, obviously, some of that's going to be the awful stew that we're using for trade. and 10,000 of that is a whole lot of fried rice in those hands of soup. But I think we're going to be in a really, really good spot just as soon as we unkink some of these problems here. And there's not a ton of them, but there's enough that is holding back little tiny bits of stuff that are just barely holding the colony back from greatness. Like right now, I don't know what it's going to show up right now in the time-lapse, but I'm looking at a well-being of about 65. That's with the increased work hours back up to 16 because we are starting to solve some of these problems. And we're seeing the benefits of that in real time. Obviously, there's still plenty of work to keep doing with simplifying things, taking out unnecessary paths where we can, and concentrating different production areas a little bit tighter together, streamlining processes, bringing in more materials from trade, and just generally improving everything. It's a big process, but that's part of the fun of doing water beavers, and that's part of the fun of playing Timberborn in general. Streamlining of production continues, as you can see, just shifting small things around, fiddling with production, and trying... Oh, that was a very late click. I did that like 15 seconds ago. But yeah, it's just one of those things. We're making big strides in the production of food. Food's up to 52,000. Water dipped a lot because I did kind of reconfigure some stuff, but it should be going up a lot as well very, very soon. The process for making the balloons is quite slow, but we are making a little bit of headway in that regard. We've still got the one balloon doing the exploration stuff, and we should, at some point, hopefully finally catch up to all this glowing fluid that we've been attempting to use. That's still holding quite a few things back in the Abyss production department especially. But we're just going to have to wait and see how much of that human flesh we can get in and actually use alongside the other stuff that those giant fireflies take. So you'll probably see me build at least one or two more of those just in anticipation of getting everything kind of unclogged and hopefully speeding up everything else in the process. So now that we've kind of unclogged our firefly production just a little bit by doubling the output, we actually had enough input. I had neglected to notice. So that should help a whole lot of stuff downstream immensely while we continue focusing on making more of what we don't have enough of, including more and more bamboo and figuring out another solution for our wood, because it seems to be a very, very common problem. Too much sawdust, not enough sawdust, wrong sawdust in the wrong place, that sort of thing. So a little bit of finagling, moving stuff around, and things should continue to improve. Water has recovered mostly by the time that I'm saying this. I don't know what it looks like on the screen again. But our import-export should start to become a little bit more balanced as well once we get everything else situated. And we should see pretty marked improvement by the time we're finished with time-lapsing for today. Another thing you're going to see us do here is put in a little bit more well-being stuff while we're waiting for everything else to get caught up. As we're able to stick stuff in here, we'll try and figure out ways to increase that score, because Water Beaver score for well-being maximum, I believe, is well over 100. I'm sure there's those of you in the chat comments, whatever it is, text interaction method with the video that will know an actual number. But we're going to try to get it as close to the max as we can before we're finished with the series. But again, just takes time. Just have to be able to get everything accomplished and spend the time and the effort to do it. And it's slow. Like, you can tell, right? Because at this point, I've been recording for, I don't know, an hour and a half. And I'm pretty sure we're only going to be at like 15, 20 minutes of video at this point. So hopefully you can appreciate the immense amount of time it takes to get this stuff accomplished. We're still making progress over on the area that has a whole bunch of scrap metal and trees and stuff, and it's just up and down and up and down and up and down, trying to flatten that out a little bit so we can put some more balloons over there. But the sky exploration is becoming a challenge. Probably going to have to build at least another one of those just to get the points so we can continue building the balloons. But, you know, it's all in a day's work. Just trying to do the best that we can. Okay, so hopefully you can see the amount of stuff that's still occurring slowly but surely getting things accomplished, buffing some industries, adding a little bit of well-being here and there, and trying to keep up with all the industrial demand. It is, it's a lot. And it's very easy to just say, oh, well, you just didn't balance stuff correctly. Again, this is such a complex and extremely, extremely in-depth mod that I would wager to say it is probably actually impossible to do everything perfectly. Well, at least while also trying to make. At this point, probably 110, 120 hours worth of content on it. So, you know how it goes. But you can see everything slowly ticking up. We've got some more refinement to do. I got a little bit more to fiddle with input, output for our balloon trades and different things. But we are making progress. Slowly but surely. Like I've said, that basically this entire time in the time-lapse, it is just a very long process. And we are doing our best, making little adjustments here and there as we keep going. But we are going to start wrapping this up soon. I know the video is still really short, but I've been doing this for a really long time. And I'm actually running out of time today to record. So don't worry. We're going to have pretty much everything done by the time we actually say goodbye to this series. We're going to do as much as we can. But there is a finite amount of time that I can actually invest into doing this and still take care of everything else I have to do. So the next time you hear from me will be in live play. Alright, and here we are in cycle 93. So, if I'm remembering correctly, that's 2 full cycles in this episode, which doesn't seem like a lot. But keep in mind, the game is running at a glacial pace. Actually, glaciers might be faster. It's at 6 FPS right now. But we've gotten a really nice amount of stuff accomplished. Water has been fixed. Food has been massively improved. Industrial throughput of many things has been improved. The glowing fluid is still a problem, but we've made a lot of steps toward that. And look, we got whirligigs that don't dunk the beavers head first into nasty water. Of course, you know, nobody's riding this right now, but our labor is, despite it saying we have a vacancy for 52 jobs, 55, it varies. It's actually pretty balanced. I took some jobs out of the high temperature foundries because we have a massive quantity of metal, and we don't need to be making so much scrap metal. We've blasted, I guess I could just go back down to single time speed so we can see. This is now completely open right here. We probably don't have to blast any more of it out. But I think for what we're doing right now, I'm going to go ahead and just hit pause on these scavenger flags. We can get these beavers out of the water, send them over to other jobs, get them cleaned up. Because the main goal behind doing this, right, was to open up the bad water so it could come all the way down here into our nuclear power plant completely uninhibited. And that's what it's done. So that's looking really good. Our assembly lines are doing some good stuff. Still making some hauling bots. We have a little bit of a shortage on the nuclear fuel front, but that has been helped ever so slightly by our ability to continue making these ruins exploration stuff. But again, that hinges on the glowing fluid. So in case you weren't paying attention, what we've done is we have more than doubled our production. We now have 5 of these guys, but they're all waiting on the insect larvae, which is what these 2 balloons are currently getting. But it takes almost 3 full days to get 3 of these larvae, so that's just one of those things that takes a long time. Sky exploration points are massively and quickly accruing because I put in 2 more balloons to take care of that. The polar beaver situation, as far as acquiring the human meat, is mostly taken care of. Once we have all of these actually operating fully, then we'll be in good shape. This one here is getting human meat. This one here is getting human meat. This one here is getting human meat. This is getting ice. That one's getting ice, and this one is supposed to be also getting ice. But I'm probably going to switch this one back to the human meat, just because we are starting to run a little bit low on that, and the ice doesn't really serve a hugely important purpose, except for burn curing. But we have 100 of the burn medicine, so I don't think it's that big of a deal, to be perfectly honest with you. The bigger problem we're having now is with the logs. And I don't know, I get a comment like every video, somebody saying, hey, your things are set wrong. They're not. These are all set correctly. Logs, planks, logs, planks. And, well, actually, you know what I could do is I could set this one probably also to logs. There is the crude processing we're not using. There was one at some point, like 2 episodes ago, we were doing that. That's long since been taken care of. We do have another carousel. Of course, nobody is riding it right now, but it is being used. What else have we improved? I mean, there's just been so many small improvements. It's very, very, very hard for sure to get that all nailed down. But you know what we haven't done yet? Haven't fixed our floodgates. So let's go ahead and do that. Get the water back in here after our bad tide. Don't want our bamboo to die out. That would be terrible. But you saw we blasted a whole lot of this out. Now we have a lot more bamboo. This number is slowly creeping up. And it was probably already okay because it was never 0. But it's one of those things we really want to keep an eye on. So that's been nice. I mean, some stuff is just really, really hard to keep up with. Like the production of gears especially. Even though I've got this guy, the factory underground team doing gears. What they don't have is a reliable supply of logs, which I'm not sure why we're going through so many logs now. Because we're not really building that much stuff. I think it's just one of those things where we ran through the supply really quick. And it just, for whatever reason, can't replenish as fast as we're used to. Because keep in mind, we have 4 of these. We have 4 advanced sawmills, and now 3 of them are doing logs. But it's a 14-hour recipe to get 85 logs and 240 sawdust. And the sawdust, we do have a lot, but it is being used here and there. I know, someone's going to get really mad, but I got to turn the wood burner back on just to make sure we're actually evacuating these. Because when they get sufficiently full, they can't operate anymore. It doesn't matter how much extra storage space we have elsewhere. These have to get fleshed out. So if they have a local destination that can be taken care of with that, then that will be a huge, huge help. So this is actually just about done. And polar beavers, for all intents and purposes, I think will be pretty much a solved problem in terms of trading for the human meat and the ice. Now, of course, there's still plenty of other stuff, and you've seen the progress we've made here. It is just a really, really involved thing trying to get all of this blasted down. It is a completely different animal in the water beavers versus every other faction. That is just the reality that we find ourselves faced with. So we'll continue blasting these away, but again, it's one of those things that, I mean, we could do this till the cows come home, and I don't even have any cows, so suffice to say, that's going to be a really long time. So at some point, we're going to need to ask ourselves what our goal actually is here. And I always wanted to put more balloons because I thought this would be a great spot for that. But the amount of work that this requires is, in my opinion, probably not worth it. It's just a gargantuan amount of stuff that just takes a huge amount of time. So I'm going to pause these terrain blocks because we probably should be panning for gold with all of our dirt. These are set for gold. They just don't have any water here, so they can't really do much. And that's one of those downstream effects of us not having this put over quick enough. But we are generating power to keep this filled up. Although, honestly, it's looking a little low. But, you know, it is the beginning of our temperate season, so we can't really be that upset about it. This is getting actual full power. This is generating way more than this water cannon needs. So this was smart. I know a couple of you suggested I do something similar to this. Some of you had different ideas about like making a V shape or whatever. But as it stands now, this is working perfectly fine for our needs. If we really, really wanted to get fancy with it, we could put a bunch of upgrades on these outside things to try to force water through the middle. But honestly, I really don't think it matters. I think we're perfectly fine. We did have a whole lot fewer pumpkins as a result of removing stuff from down here, but take a look at our stock up here. We got 1,100 pumpkin chips. We have 450 pumpkins, and there's tons that still haven't been harvested, so I think we're in very, very good shape. Now, you'll also notice that I took out the handicrafters' lodges up here, so we're no longer handicrafting the lotuses up here, but we do still have storage for the plucked ones. This farmhouse I did reduce to have 6 workers, And I feel like I probably should go back up to 8. I'm just hesitant to have too many beavers doing too many things in too many places when there's so much else that needs to get taken care of. But again, keep in mind, this 54-55 is because one of these hauling towers is turned on with the absolute lowest priority, so if we ever have any extra beavers, they have somewhere to go. I mean, otherwise, I don't know what else you want me to say. Like, we've made some really good progress. It's just very, very slow. Well-being at one point was up to 69 during the time-lapse, I'm pretty sure. Because we do actually have the carousel now. There's just so many beavers that until we can lower the working hours, and I don't know that we can, honestly, but if we can lower the working hours to like 10 or 12, then we're going to have a whole lot more credit for all these different fun things. But again, there's so many beavers, and there's so much to do that it is going to be very hard for us to get this well-being up over 100. Easiest way is food, but I mean, we're already making everything that they want, just not quite enough for everybody to have some. But as supply lines stabilize, everything should get better. Should being the operative term. Shell necklaces, that's just a luxury thing. But, I mean, look at wooden toys. We have that on one of the, I think of the assembly lines making that now. And almost everybody's got one. That's cool. Comic books are another thing that we probably should be making a whole lot more of. But, you know, let's actually take a look at that. Let's hit pause so I can actually move the camera around. But this... No, that's rubble. Why is... Oh, whatever. This is beautifying the Balloon Trader landing pad blueprints, which I think at this point... I've got 5. I'm going to need the rest of these to be fancified. But this guy right here is making comic books. Copyist Lodge. I'm pretty sure this is the only building on the map that's currently making comic books. I don't know who else can. This is library books, not comic books, so I really don't want to build another one of these copyist lodges, so I think as long as we don't use all of our blueprints for the Balloon Trader landing pads before we beautify them, I think we're fine to go ahead and have this guy also make comic books. Remember, it's 5 hours for one book, and we have 810 beavers, so it's just one of those things that's really slow. But we do have 2,000 paper. We have almost 600 pencil sets, so we know it's going to do something. So turn that on. And then the shell necklaces, again, that's one of those things that we were just kind of in the process of doing, and we had to do something else. Like, we got coconuts. We need the coconuts so we can make coconut juice, so we can have the juice bar and the buffet and all that stuff functioning correctly, which is a very, very tall order indeed. But the assembly line actually has been doing pretty well. It's just the beavers have been consuming it almost immediately, just as soon as it can make stuff. The coconuts are the limiting factor here. Almost everything else is looking really, really good. So as soon as we have the ability to build some more balloon things and actually supply from the island beavers a plethora of coconuts, then we're going to be in great shape. Wine stocks probably could be better, but I'm pretty sure if we were actually exporting it, we'd be able to keep up. Like, look at all these grapes we have. We have our wine cellar right here that can turn grape juice into wine. It's just an issue of, are we making grape juice and where? Now, we did have over here this screw press that I had paused. I'm actually going to turn it back on, and it's going to make grape juice. Because what we did over here is we paused all of these screw presses except one, because I figured out that the multi-juice processing thing was not doing mushroom juice, and we absolutely have to have mushroom juice so we can, you know, continue to grow mushrooms in our GMO things, because that's how it does it, right? It just reproduces it with mushroom juice, dirt, logs, sawdust. Well, what's that? The false self exists a form of the true self. On whatever psychology thing that is, I can't remember who said that, but so there you have it. You make mushrooms from mushroom juice and use the mushroom juice to make mushrooms, and the mushrooms make the mushroom juice to make the mushrooms from the mushroom juice. That's a mouthful. So, you know, it's a vicious cycle. Stuff just keeps on going. But I feel overall, like I said, a lot of stuff has been accomplished. It's just a really, really slow process. So appreciate you guys bearing with me on this. Obviously, there's still tons of work left to do. And there's some areas that we could definitely make some pretty good improvements on. But before we get out of here, we were looking at the comic books, and then I got distracted again. Let's take a look at our storages I've got to see, does anybody actually have comic books in a storage? If not, we can make one. Because I think part of the reason why we aren't having more beavers take a look at this stuff is it's just on the other side of the map and there's 800 other beavers. So, you know, somebody's going to get to it first. Like what? Elementary school, it's pizza day and everybody gets to the lunchroom first, but you're in the back of the line, and by the time you get there, all they got is those soggy hamburger patties that have been floating in that water for 3 hours. Like, no pizza for you. So there's no pizza in the Water Beaver mod, as far as I'm aware. So we're going to have to settle for looking for our comic books here. But it's, there's so much going on. It's just almost impossible to keep up with stuff. So looking at piles, if these are all piles here, then I do not think there are any comic books to be had absolutely anywhere. So what we can do is we can, first of all, hide this so I can actually see something. Get ourselves a little warehouse, because we really don't have very many at all. Comic books, that is. And find ourselves a spot somewhere in the general vicinity of what we're looking at here. And, okay, that's holding lemons. Well, this is now holding comic books, assuming that's what that is. Yep. So that's going to be where we obtain those, and all the beavers living here will have a much easier path to get to the comic books. Sweet. So that is, at best, a marginal improvement. But there's, I mean, look at this. Our storage view, there's so much stuff here, man. We've got absolute gobs of stuff everywhere. So that's going to be something we have to keep working on. The 37 contaminated beavers, I'm pretty sure is mostly a holdover from when we were trying to blast this out. So that should get better in time. If I was feeling nasty, what I would do is I would, I don't know why I enunciated it that way. I build a path down here and then you know what? No, we're going to do it anyway, because there is just a lot that's riding on this nuclear power plant actually being productive contributor to society here. And we have nitroglycerin, we have explosives, so we might as well just go ahead, blast this thing. Oh, good. I was actually kind of worried about whether this would be a viable thing or not, but I'm just going to blast all the way over here so we can pick up as much as possible. And actually, you know what would be really smart is if I don't delete the nuclear power plant. if I blasted this all the way down to the bottom. So there you have it. We'll go ahead and send the beavers into harm's way once again while we are doing our end of episode fun stuff. So I know it's a short episode. Sorry, but I can't spend any longer than this today trying to get a video out. But I wanted to let you go know now. There's not going to be one of these videos on Thursday because, of course, in the U.S. it's Thanksgiving Day, and we're going to be spending time with our family, and that's very important to me. So we're not going to be doing water beavers for Thursday. But what we will do is for Saturday, I'm going to be working, hopefully, if I can make this, I'm going to try my best. Hopefully, throughout the rest of this week, I'm going to try to record as much water beavers as I can and have a huge episode for what's Saturday going to be. Episode's number 69, I think. Oh, okay. Well, so some of you are going to be real happy about that. But we're going to try to do as much as we do. Don't be inappropriate. We're going to try to do as much as we can, and hopefully, I'm really hoping we can make a huge amount of progress in that, and start to wrap this series up sometime next week. Hopefully, the number I saw, and I can't remember who said it, but one of the comments was 75 episodes seems like a good way to end this one. So I think 75 is probably doable. It's just one of those things where, you know, there's so much going on, and it's really hard to predict what is and is not going to be an achievable goal. But we're going to do our best, making sure everything is as good as we can make it, and then just go from there, because there's only so much more we can reasonably accomplish without just sinking another 100 hours into this. And while I really love this mod, I also understand that a lot of you are ready to move on. And the Water Beaver mod for Update 6 is actually functional right now. It's not perfect, it's not complete, but we're going to be in a state pretty soon, maybe before, I'm not going to put words in anybody else's mouth, but I think maybe before the end of the year we might be able to get started. Or we'll start it in January. I don't know. But we're also supposed to get Ostrov Update 6 in January, so that could end up being a very crowded month. Regardless, there's still a little bit more to do in this. The Update 6 Iron Teeth playthrough also in the next week or two is probably going to be coming to an end. And then we've got some options on what we want to do next. I know the Ember Pelts mod is a very popular request, and I'm really excited to take a look at that. But I'm not going to rush it, so we're going to take care of our business first. Still trying to decide if I want to do a live stream or a proper video series on that mod. I think it might be better for live stream right now, just to kind of get a feel of stuff. And if we like it, we'll do a whole series on it. I think it's really cool that we have all these other faction things, and I know there's a couple other ones at some point eventually that we'll probably get. But let's go ahead and wrap this up. This is ready to blast. That is now, is that all the same height? Let's take a look-see. Oh, this is actually lower. It's actually lower than the nuclear plant. It's a little too late for me to get down in there and take care of that, but I guess that is going to be fine. So what I'm... I kind of built myself into a corner here, didn't I? Well, we have this one trench here. I guess that's probably going to be good enough. Or, you know what? Yeah, that's we'll say it's good enough. We'll say that's good enough. So let's go ahead and decide to say goodbye for today. I really appreciate you watching these videos. I know it bears repeating, though. It's not possible to do this without your support. Beard Boosters, especially, contributing directly to the financial health and longevity of this channel. And I guess my quote-unquote career as a YouTuber. It's the consistent support that makes it possible to do this and dedicate the time instead of trying to run off and go find a, what fourth or fifth job at this point. I love playing games like this, and I love that we get to have a good time with each other. I want to keep doing it as long as I can and as much as I can, so you guys supporting it really, really makes a huge difference, and I cannot say thank you enough. All that being said, that's all the time we got for this one. Hopefully we can have a really, really, really nice episode on Saturday, get a ton of stuff done, and some interesting stuff unrelated to Timberborn coming soon. Some of you will be very excited about. But yeah, that's it. Have a fantastic rest of your day, whatever it is you're doing. Stay safe, have fun, and we'll catch you in the next one. Take care, friends. Bye-bye.